So getting into volume 26 of Mushoku Tensei. Whoa, 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 whoa. We need to take a step back, kids, ladies and gentlemen. I will probably have to do a follow-up video at some point because I really want to talk about, as I call it, the girl's wish. It's kind of what I've written in my notebook. It's the final sort of prologue chapter at the end of the volume, and I am looking at rereading that and actually doing a separate. And the reason being is because that last chapter is just like I mean, I've seen I've seen some of the interviews for the writer saying that Mushoku Tensei is like the prequel to a major story that the writer had planned. It's like it depends on how you see the perspective. Is the glass half empty or half full? And what I mean by that is you could say the next story coming that the author has planned is like a sequel, and some people go, well, actually this is the prequel. It's like it's both. Like it's both at the same time. Like, this story is technically a prequel to the story to come, and the story to come is technically the story that the sequel to what's happened. But people argue about either. Irrelevant of that. I don't want to get into the debate on that topic. It's just like I've seen the interviews where the author talks about that, but seeing this chapter at the end kind of blew me away of this whole like build up to a massive story that is to come in the future. Then you've also got the situation with the man god and Rudy actually having a couple of final moments with the man god, and him basically having this kind of vision of his final days of when he passes away as an old fart. And the man god basically going, ha 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 ha, oh, you wait, I'm going to turn them against you, I'm going to destroy everything, I'm just going to wait it out for you to be gone, and then I'm going to rise back up. And it's Rudy's just like, whatever, I've lived a good life, it's all up to them now, there's no point me straight. And the man god's just like getting really agitated, like he wants to like have that last moment of like, ha 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 ha. And it really shows how possessive in power that the man god is. Like he's always trying to make himself like he's empowered, like stand above those, trying to rattle people, but really just doesn't care. At the end of the day, he's like, I lived a good life, I'm happy, it's out of my hand, it's up to them now. But it sets up the whole future story along with the Laplace stuff as well. You've got the Laplace, you've got this chick in the final chapter that I'll talk about in another video, and then you've got the man god. It's like all of this is going to happen in the future, and it's like this is sequel material. This is like massive build up to what is to come in the future. And I know for a fact that the redundancy volumes aren't going to have this kind of stuff in it. Well, maybe it will. Maybe it will have some hints. I would say high chance that there's possibly some hints for stuff to come in the future, but I would say that's the redundancy stuff is mostly just going to be about all the little like unfinished storylines with like all the kids and siblings and the wives and other characters like Ghislaine and all that, like, and not Geese, sorry, but Geese is in this thing. I was thinking of someone else, Cliff, and then Ellen and Lise, like their relationship, and then you've also got Ariel as well, and Luke. Like you've got all these other characters, there's so many other side stories that need to be concluded, and Mushoku Tensei is a series that I'm very confident would finish those stories. But what really just kind of blew me away was just that sort of hint at what's to come. And then even at the start of the volume itself, like the whole big fight itself, the power of the sword, like what makes you a hero, the stalling of everything, and the fact that they came out pretty well in that fight. But then that hero kid, I predicted it. He was alive. He clearly came back, climbed out, ended up taking a swing at Rudy, and then went off and went, oh yeah, I'm going to go after Orsted. And Orsted is like, yeah, nah, bro. Nah. You get on your knees and you either die or you serve me. And the kid's just like, okay, I'll serve. So that kid very quickly saw the error of his ways. Whether that kid ends up doing something shady later on, I doubt it. The fact is that he sealed his power and everything, so, and he's going to be around for quite a while. I feel like he'll be a character that will possibly be in the sequel as well, and that's what I mean. Like, imagine if you've never read Mushoku Tensei, this series, and you go into the sequel blind. You'll have all these crazy things going on, and it'll be like, for us that's reading, it'll be like millions of Easter eggs. It just, wow, it was just an amazing volume in itself, and it was much shorter than I thought it was because it had all those additional character portraits and everything at it. But for how short the volume was, or what it felt, there were so many crazy things that just happened. And I thought the geese talk at the end was very interesting when Rudy like basically incinerated the area as the whole fight was going on, and Rudy was trying to take Geese out, and the tactics between them was really cool as well. But Geese having that conversation with Rudy and basically just saying, you know, it wasn't any hard feelings, you know, he was just serving the man god. And Rudy didn't even have any like hatred towards Geese as well. Like he gave Geese an honorable like burial and put it next to his father, which just showed that I think he understood like the manipulation that the man god had, but even then Rudy didn't really have any hatred towards the man god. And it just showed that Rudy had come such far, he came so far with his past life, and he even talks about it and says in like his little bonus little chapter thing where he's kind of like writing a log and everything, and it's just like live life to the fullest. And I think that's something honestly a lot of Mushoku Tensei fans need to take away from that, is that even Rudy's kind of pointing there saying, you know, you make mistakes in life, you have your highs and lows, but living in that past and letting it hold you down is not helpful. Like, live life to the fullest. Make every moment mean something, because you never know when it's your last moment. And letting the past hold you back is just going to destroy you. Do the best you can and don't let the past be your defining factor. And I think that's what I kind of took away from Rudy's little chat there, but also Geese's little talk as well, which was kind of heartwarming, but also sad as well, because you could kind of see that Geese, he just wanted Rudy to know that he gave it his all. He didn't make any excuses. It wasn't like, oh, you know, I was being manipulated. No, he's like, you know, I gave it my all. And even then, he still really cared about Rudy, but he's like, you know, I've got to do what I got to do. I have to do this. I owe the man god. And I think it shows actually the man god's power is very influential. Like it like kind of like forces them. I don't know. It's just the way I kind of interpret it. I just really love where this story went. Like, out of a lot of the light novels that I've read and seen the conclusion to many of the stories, like Overlord, I've got 2 more volumes of that to go that the writers got. And honestly, I've grown to dislike the series because the authors just rushed it. And it's just like, it feels really it feels really icky for me to just kind of like the series just kind of got very muddled and messed to what I really hope to see. But when I look at something like Mushoku Tensei and how it's done from start to finish, it's just, I know I'm going to get hate for saying it, but I'm just saying my honest opinions. This is my opinions. You don't have to agree with it, but I just love how well the story is done. It's just so masterfully done, and it feels like there's so much raw emotions and passion put into it, but also a lot of wise and interesting lessons built into it as well. Like I mentioned about Rudy talking about his past life and being like, hey, live every moment to the last moment. I could talk about all the different things that happened in this volume, but what happens in the volume isn't what I care about. It's the message that came from it that really what I love about the series. And it's just amazing. I really love what the story has crafted and the journey that Rudy has gone through. And then there's also last moments that he's spending with his family as well, and having all these like grandchildren and the family that he has, and Roxy and Sylvie being there for his last moments, because of course Eris passed away before him. It was really, really sad because Rudy was basically going through he was going senile, was going through dementia, and I've seen a family member go through those moments where they're going through their last moments, and you can kind of see that they're still there, but they're kind of out of it. They kind of lost it. And they had those moments, those pocket moments of, they know who you are, they know little things, but they're kind of a little bit out of it. And it is kind of scary and sad to see. And I could kind of like sympathize with Roxy and Sylvie and how they felt watching someone they cared about and knowing that they were at their last moments, and that they were kind of a little bit out of it, a little bit space cadet kind of thing. Like, they're quite there, but not quite there. And then Orsted being there for the last moments as well. Like that relationship between Rudy and Orsted felt like genuine, like true friendship. Like Rudy really made a good, strong friend. And the joke, of course, when he's like, oh yeah, I met the man god in my sleep, and he's like, oh, do you serve the man god? And he's like, oh, well, what if I did? And he's like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, you know, I don't deal with traitors. It was very clear that Orsted knew that Rudy hadn't betrayed him. And so he's just throwing a little jab, like, yeah, I'll get you if you betray me, kind of thing. But of course, Rudy would have never done that. But the fun back and forth between them was just, it's beautiful. I know I'm gushing so much, and I feel like a fanboy, but it's hard to not be a fanboy for a series that is so well crafted in such a meaningful and impactful way. The way the characters feel so real and so lifelike. Like, their strengths, their weaknesses, their flaws, they are human in the most basic sense. Like, this writer really built such a well-crafted, not just a world with all the fantasy and all the majesty of the time looping and the magic and the worlds and all these different systems, but the characters itself, its most core aspect, are human. And that's the thing I love about Mushoku Tensei, and I think it's one of the reasons why Mushoku Tensei is so misunderstood, because it's not about making these picture-perfect characters that have no flaws. No, they have flaws. That's what makes the story so good, is that I can read this and also watch it as it becomes an anime and just see these characters for what they are. Humans living lives to the fullest, the best they can, stumbling along the way, but still trying to make do. It's just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I will probably end up doing a follow-up video at some point, not just about the final chapter, but also just about everything that's transpired from volumes 1 through 26. Because, of course, I'll be going over the redundancy volumes as well, but the journey as a whole is just, it's beautiful. It really is. I feel like I'm repeating myself, and I hope people understand why I keep, because it is just a series that when you read it from start to finish and you go through that journey, as much as I hate endings, it feels so satisfying. And I think that's exactly what Rudy felt when he passed away, when he was seeing the man god one last time, because technically he sees him 2 times in this. He sees him when he goes to sleep after he has a threesome with the girls as a reward, and then his final time is when he finally passes away at his old age. He sees the man god again, and the man god's so determined to try and like belittle him and bring him down and say, I'm gonna destroy everything. But Rudy's just like, he's just content. He's happy. He lived a full and meaningful life. He allowed that opportunity that it was given to him, and he took it, and he lived it as best as he could. And it's such a beautiful story. And that's why I love that little part where he puts in there, as like the Japanese translation thing is, he puts in there is that, you know, if you translate this, he says, live every moment. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but it's just, yeah. But I will end on one last note before I end this review. Rudy was a mistake. That's what I kind of want to title the video. I don't know if I will or not, but that last chapter, just want to kind of a little bit of note on it. Again, still going to make a separate video, but the fact is that, and I actually had that theory from the very beginning, actually. So I'm actually really proud of myself that I actually got that theory right, that Rudy was an anomaly. I mean, we all kind of guessed that Rudy was an anomaly in itself, which is why I always said that at the beginning. But Rudy was technically like the one that was never meant to happen. Like, all these other powers were trying to summon and do things and all that, but Rudy slipped through a crack. And his soul got through, and by chance, he was given an opportunity. He was lucky to have that second chance. He was never meant to have that second chance. That's why I say he was a mistake. And yeah, you can say he's an anomaly. I mean, it's tomato, tomato. It's kind of the same way of putting it. But I kind of had that theory that something happened, and his soul slipped through a crack and made its way into that body, and he was given that opportunity by luck. My God, am I interested to see more about that, because I really want to see that bonus, that chapter delved into more. I really hope there's more about it, because it's very fascinating. That's why I'm going to read it again, because I really want to kind of dissect it as much as possible and write down notes, because there's a lot, and I mean a lot, to take away from that. And it also has to do with Nanahoshi and her boyfriend as well. I mean, that's who it involves. So I'm going to, yeah, it just, beautiful volume. Absolutely beautiful. And I'd love to ask the question off to you. What did you think of volume 26 of Mushoku Tensei? And what did you think of the overall journey? What did you love the most about Mushoku Tensei? Who was your favorite girl? Who was your favorite side character? What did you love? What did you hate about it? I want to know everything. Like, write down your comments. I don't care if they're like a page long. Give me your overall thoughts of what you thought of the series, and I'll be reading through them. And I may also do another follow-up video going over some of those comments and giving my thoughts on them as well, because there's just so much to talk about, but it kind of like scatters my brain because there's so many things that happened, not just in this volume but overall the whole story, that I want to talk about, that I kind of need to write down more concrete and be like definitively like each individual topic, because it's such a big, beautiful, vibrant world. So again, if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.